I realized that the best answer to the question, how much should I charge, is this: charge whatever makes you feel good. I'm going to give you 7 pricing structures, 7 ways to determine how much you should be charging. Number 1 is supply and demand. Is you go, okay, how much supply do I have? And just like in this example, we said restrict the supply, say I'm available to speak these many dates. And then how is that compared to the demand? As supply goes up, that lowers the price. As supply goes down, that raises the price. As demand goes up, that raises the price. As demand goes down, that lowers the price. And the simple answer is to go, okay, how much should I charge for coaching? I would say do it for free when you start. And you go, I'm gonna coach 3 people for free. Why? Because I need the testimonials. I need to practice. I need to get somebody I can get referrals from. I need to build my confidence. I need to test my content, right? Like, it's the same conversation here. But then you go, once my supply is capped, I had 3 free available slots. I have reached that. Now that supply is no longer available. I will release a new supply, which is 10 slots that I will make available at $500 a month. You are controlling your own little economy. So that's the first one. The second is called MVOT. MVOT is a concept that we created in Procrastinate on Purpose. It's called the money value of your time. What MVOT says is that all of us have an hourly rate. So if you literally want to know what you're worth, not from an intrinsic human value standpoint, but from a literal dollars and cents practical value standpoint, take the total amount of income you earned last year divided by the number of hours you worked. That's it. We all, and it, all income from all sources could have been, a salary, could have been commissions, could have been profits, it could have been dividends, it could have been, investments, whatever. And you divide it by the number of hours, that will give you the MVOT, the money value of your time. And so you go, literally 1 working hour of my time, 1 unit is worth blank. And so to complete this activity takes blank. Now, if you use something like speaking, it's not just the hour you're on stage. So you need to factor that in, because there is preparation time, there's marketing time, there is talking to the client before, there is travel time, there's doing the presentation, there's travel time back, there's following up afterwards. And so you got to factor and go, an hour unit of my time is worth blank. This activity, I estimate, and you just use estimates when you start. And I estimate this activity will take blank units or hours of my time. I multiply the 2 together and I go, this is a legitimately fair price to charge. Not theoretically, what is my time worth? Literally, what is my time worth? Nobody can argue it. It is black and white and it is factual. So that's number 2. Number 3 is opportunity cost. When you're setting your price, you need to make an assessment of the opportunity cost. So if I take the speaking engagement, what is the opportunity cost? A speaking engagement on the weekend has more opportunity cost for me because it's time away from my family. Any speaking engagement is time away from my business. So part of what drives my speaking fee up is that we have a successful business that makes more profit, which means the business pays me more and more every year to focus on the business. So if I am working on somebody else's business, then they are pulling me away from mine. That factors into the value to go, well, you have to be able to pay me what it's worth for that time. That's a way to look at it. The 4th way to assess price is client ROI. So another way to evaluate your price is to say, not what is the value of my time, but what is the impact of my advice on this client? So for example, let's take our bestseller launch plan. Our course, bestseller launch plan, could literally change somebody's life. If they follow those steps and they learn how to release a book and hit a New York Times or a Wall Street Journal bestseller list, it can shift the entire trajectory of the future of their career. If you become a New York Times bestseller, your speaking fee is automatically going to go up. It's going to be, let's say, $15,000. And you say, well, if they do $15,000 speeches instead of $5,000 speeches, that means they're making an extra 10 grand a speech. Let's say they do that 20 times a year. That's 200 grand a year. Let's say they do that for 10 years. That's $2 million. I might not charge $2 million. We obviously don't charge $2 million for Bestseller Launch Plan. We actually include it as a part of your program. But it gives you an assessment to go, here's another way of looking at this. The fifth way is market comps. Market comps are a great way to establish pricing. Think about real estate, right? Your house might be worth $500,000, but if the house down the street just sold for $750,000, that affects the value of yours because you have a market comp. It shows what are people willing to pay for something like what you have. So that is something that you should look at. Go, what are my competitors charging? Not from a comparison of like, well, they're better than me or I'm better than them, just to get a sense of what is the market rate of pay, what is the world, the industry, the economy willing to pay for this kind of, service or time or asset or whatever. So look at market comps. Number 6 is your criteria checklist. Your criteria checklist. This is kind of similar to market comps, but it is adding some checklists to go, okay, people at this fee range have these criteria. Let's just use speakers since that's what the catalyst is of the question. You go, if someone is in the $20,000 speaking range, they probably have a New York Times bestselling book, or they have hundreds of thousands of social media followers, and or they have, a multi-million-dollar business, and or they've been featured in major media, and or they've been on TV. So you come up with this list of criteria and you just go, how many of these things do I meet? And then all of these, so that's number 6. All of these point to number 7. Those are all sort of objective ways, meaning like factual, logical, empirical, numerical ways to kind of calculate and get a sense of what you should charge in the marketplace. But the best piece of advice that I've ever received about what I should charge, and I asked this very question to my mentor in one of our very first meetings, one of my very first speaking mentors, a guy named Eric Chester. He told me, he said, Rory, after decades of being in this business, I realized that the best answer to the question, how much should I charge, is this. Charge whatever makes you feel good. And what he said was, Rory, if you don't charge enough, you're going to feel like someone took advantage of you. You're going to feel like they don't value you. You're going to feel that when you're in the room, they don't even care that you're there. They're not paying attention to you. They're not giving you their time, their focus, their energy. That means that's a sign that you didn't charge enough or that you shouldn't have taken the gig. But he said, if you charge too much, you're going to feel guilty about it. You're going to know that you overcharged this person. You're charging someone else way less for the same thing. And sometimes that happens because you're in the middle of a price change. But if you're just changing your prices like the wind, you're going to not feel good about that. So charge what makes you feel good. That is 7 different pricing structures for establishing in the market.